We welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our Conversations and Coffee on this 11th day of December 2025. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We welcome today Jeffrey Martin and Ariel Wiles. Stand up there. Yay. With their stage community bringing to us the celebration of Christmas with costume designer E.J. Jones, yay. Lead actor Alexa Cruiser, with John Quigley, bravo, and our young artists in the show. Wow, this is great. Woo. So welcome, everyone bringing to us this pageant of the best Christmas ever. Jeff, you are the coordinator of Columbus Recreation and Parks Arts Department and been working continuously in the Columbus arts scene for the past 25 years. You are originally from Pittsburgh and then began your time in Columbus as a student at Otterbein College studying theater. So glad Otterbein brought you to Columbus. After graduating from Otterbein, Jeff worked with several local companies, and in 2001, he was named Best Actor by the Columbus Critics Circle. For the past 20 years, Jeff has worked for the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department in the arts section. He began his career with Recreation and Parks as the artistic director of the Davis Performing Arts Programs for Youth. In 2009, we were gifted here at the Cultural Arts Center as Jeff joined us in leadership, helping to organize classes, discussions, events, including Conversations and Coffee, as well as exhibits. He's since taken on the role of arts coordinator for the city and is proud to help make art accessible to so many Columbus citizens. Jeffrey is the next generation of leadership alumnus class of 2011 and a 2012 Ohio Arts Council Arts Leadership Grant recipient. In 2018, Jeff was voted Emerging Arts Leader of the Year by the Greater Columbus Art Council after being nominated by no less than Mayor Ginther. Jeff lives in Clintonville with his wife, 4 children, 3 cats, and 1 rabbit. How wonderful you included the 1 rabbit. Oh, stand up. We'll give you a real round of applause. Oh. And Ariel Wiles. You want to stand up here so everybody knows who you are? Yeah. The director of the best Christmas pageant ever, and shares that she was nurtured by teachers and directors of the Park Playhouse Youth Program at the Davis Discovery Center. It was there that Ariel found an overwhelming love for performing arts. She now serves as one of the community theater directors and an attendant for the Columbus Performing Arts Center. Sleepy Hollow, Little Women, the best Christmas pageant ever, are the few shining examples of her directing talents displayed with the Columbus Performing Arts Center players. Ariel has directed over 20 community theatrical productions. She's also an independent playwright and has written such productions as In Search of a Prince, Mystery on a Train, Once Upon a Recipe, and Clearing Up a Fairy Tale, just to name a few. Ariel hopes to continue her journey and grow as a director and a student on the stage. Welcome, Ariel. So delighted to have you with us. And with all of you, we have this amazing community of actors that you've brought with us. we are going to be experiencing some of their performance, right? Well, Jeff, you come, take over here.
Thank you, Ellen, and thanks everybody for coming. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to share what we're doing. This is a great program. For those of you who don't know, this is a weekly program that we do at the Columbus Cultural Arts Center. But today we're talking about one of our other art centers, the Columbus Performing Arts Center, and the show that we're working on right now, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which, believe it or not, opens tonight at our theater. So we're really excited about that. Ellen mentioned my role with Columbus Recreation Parks is as arts coordinator. So I have I wear a couple hats, but I kind of help oversee the arts section, meaning what happens here at the Cultural Arts Center. And then some of you may have heard about our newest art center, the Fran Ryan Center, which just opened in Old Town East at the beginning of 2025. And then the third of the three art centers is, of course, the Columbus Performing Arts Center. And I had worked with Ellen here at the Cultural Arts Center for quite a while. We'd been working together side by side for, I think, about 13, 14 years. And I just moved over to the Performing Arts Center. That's sort of where my focus is right now. That's where my office is. So I spend a little more time there these days. But I still love coming back to see what's happening at the Cultural Arts Center and at the newest space. But what I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about the Performing Arts Center and what we've got going on there, since we don't get a chance to talk about that space as much here, because we talk a lot about visual artists. But like Ellen said, we've brought some of our actors with us today, and we'll hear from some of them. But I wanted to just quickly explain for those of you who maybe didn't know about the Performing Arts Center, or maybe were just curious. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is the Columbus Performing Arts Center. If you can see, it's located on Franklin Avenue, so it's just about a block away from the Topiary Park and the main library. It's a really cool space, and it has a really interesting history. And it starts, well, I should say, if you don't know the name of the Columbus Performing Arts Center, you may know it by some other names, because back in the day, it had a few different names. It was the Players Club, then it was Players Theater, and then it was the Davis Discovery Center, and now it's the Columbus Performing Arts Center. I don't know what it's going to be called next, but we'll have to find out what number 5 is there. But it all started with this woman. This is Agnes Jeffrey Shedd, and so she's kind of a legend now in the community theater world. She is the founder of the Players Club. So in the 20s, as the story goes, she sat down with some of her friends at the Lazarus store downtown, had some tea, and they talked about starting a community theater program, a readers theater program for women to create theater together. They wanted to start making theater. And so they created the Players Club. And in a few years, in 1923, they actually opened the building there. Originally, it was just one building. They found a house that they could buy on Franklin Avenue. It was 549 Franklin Avenue. They were able to purchase that, and they renovated it, and they created an auditorium there, and so they started Players Club. Well, it became such a big deal, it turned into Players Theater. And that, for those of you who are Columbus residents and natives here, you might have heard that name before. That was the big theater program here in Columbus for a long time. They were doing huge shows out of that center. And they eventually bought the house next door, which was 547 Franklin Avenue, and then they expanded, so they were running 2 theaters. And so it was that way for many, many years until the mid to late 80s. They left that space and they to come downtown, and the city entered into agreement to take over that space. And so we've been in that space for a number of years, producing community theater that people can access. So I wanted to just show a couple slides of kind of what goes on there. So one thing that we do there is we do camps and classes. So we have Saturday classes, lots of opportunities for performing artists who are interested in dance or theater or improvisation. We started doing some piano classes. We have some even sewing classes for those who are interested in sewing and costumes. So there's lots of things that all ages can take advantage of there. And then in the summer, we have a number of theater camps. They're very popular. We do week-long summer camps. And we're even talking about adding some dance camps this year too. So I'm excited about that possibility for young people in the summer. Besides that, we rent the theaters out to the community. There's a lot of groups who call this their home. They might not have their own theater space like the big companies in town, but a lot of those smaller or medium-sized groups, they kind of can rent these 2 theater spaces out that we have at the Performing Arts Center, and then they can produce shows. So you might see a theater production, you might see a dance concert, you might see a magic show. Pretty much every week there's something new coming online there. But the other thing that we do there is we produce a number of our own shows, and that's what we wanted to talk a little about today. During the course of a year at Columbus Recreation and Parks, we'll produce 4 to 5 community theater productions. And so these shows are open to the community to come and take part in. We hold auditions, and then we cast the show and put it on. We do shows for all different ages. At the Columbus Performing Arts Center, we do shows for young people. We do shows for adults. We do shows that have multi-generational casts. At one of our recreation centers, the Westgate Recreation Center and Hilltop, they've created a program too that's part of our theater programming. So they do 2 shows a year for young people. So if you know young people who are interested in getting involved, that's a great place to start. They're getting ready to do auditions. I think in the new year they're looking at doing Mary Poppins Jr. coming up. So that should be a really fun one. But we have a number of kids shows that we produce during the year. And like I said, we've got a few that I wanted to just highlight today. So I'll just show you a couple of examples. Like this summer, we did Seussical the Musical, which is a really fun one. We actually took that one outside. If anybody who's familiar with Franklin Park, you may have seen at some point there's a beautiful amphitheater in that park. And around the time of COVID, as you can imagine, we weren't doing a lot of theater programming. So we started thinking like, well, how can we do shows but make it safer? And we started looking at some of our amphitheaters. We have a number of cool amphitheaters in the Columbus Recreation Parks parklands. And so we identified this one as an excited possibility. So we started bringing summer musicals to that space. So 2 years ago, we did a production of Into the Woods. Last year, we did The Sound of Music in the park. And this past summer in 2025, we did Seussical. And that was a fun one. You can see Horton and the Cat in the Hat and JoJo the Who. They're all there. That was a fun multi-generational show. We do adult programming too. So this is a production we did in February, I think, of this year. This is a show called Gem of the Ocean. And it was written by a legendary playwright from the Pittsburgh area. His name's August Wilson. Ellen mentioned I grew up there, so I was really interested in his work from a young theater age. But he did something really interesting. He created this century cycle of plays. So from 1900 all the way to 2000, he wrote 10 plays. He wrote a play from every decade of that century, kind of highlighting the experience of Black culture in Pittsburgh's Hill District. And so this wasn't the first play that August Wilson wrote, but it was the first in the series that he wrote. So it took place in 1903. And so we thought that was a cool thing to start there. And then next year, we're actually going to produce another one of his plays that takes place in the 20s. It's called The Piano Lesson. That one more people might have heard of. It's become a movie and a television movie. So that's something to watch out for coming up in 2026. And then the last one I have on here, this is a show that Ariel directed several years ago. I think that's the first show that Ariel and I worked on together. And it was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So you can see some of our young actors here. It's such a fun experience for us seeing young people kind of get up on stage and they do such great work. It takes such bravery to do what they do. And so I'm really proud of all of you. Because I think if you talk to most adults, they'd say the scariest thing to do is, right, get up on stage and talk in front of a group of people. So we're doing that right now. And that's one of those skills that I think that being involved in the theater can help with. And so I encourage everybody to try it out at some point. Even if you don't want to be in a show, definitely take part in these classes or camps. If you've got a kiddo who maybe struggles with that, or maybe is really excited about that, we have a great entry point into the theater community. There's other youth theater programs in the city, and by all means, I encourage you to take part in those. But the Columbus Recreation Parks has a great space to start and have a safe space to learn about what we do there. But today, we wanted to talk about our current show best Christmas pageant ever. You can see we brought posters, we brought Christmas trees, we brought actors. And so I think what I'll do is, Ari, can I hand the microphone over to you and you can talk a little bit about the show?
This show is basically about the kids from the wrong side of town volunteer, I should say, to jump in and join the local church to be a part of this year's Christmas pageant. Everyone is against them, but yet they pull it off and create the best Christmas pageant ever. And it really does blow the minds of everyone that's in town, including the children. So it is a wonderful, very cute show.
Ari, I think you said you brought this idea to us. I think earlier when we're trying to establish a season, we talked to our actors and our artists and our team members to try to get ideas. We are always thinking about what shows to do next. We think about what has a big cast, what can include a lot of people. And I think you worked on this show once before, right?
I did. When I was a teen myself, this was written back in 1970. So, and then converted over to a play in the 80s. So it was available when I was young. And I actually got the opportunity to play two characters. I played Ollie, and then I also played Mrs. Armstrong. So it was a really fun show. And when I thought of something that we could do in the holidays, why not incorporate some really goofy kids, and why not our local children, you know? So yes, this was a fun show.
And Ari, I know you're not only a director, but you are a writer too, right? Can you talk a little bit about some of your background, like how you got, because I think you're a perfect example of someone who started at the Davis Discovery Center learning about theater, and then you're still doing it, right?
I am. I actually grew up in Parks Playhouse, and that's where I found my love for theater. I didn't know I had it, and my mother did. But the Davis Center was right there, was near the house. We were able to learn how to become an actor and show us the breakdown of the stage. And it was really quite wonderful. And then as I've gotten older, had children, husband, all that good fun, I thought, why not, start writing, bringing some of my creativity, my imagination to the stage. So I've decided to write a very family-oriented show, which I got some very high accolade off of. And then I was like, I can do this again. And I kept going. And I was able to write 7 shows. And we actually just did Clearing Up a Fairy Tale. A few of the actors that are in the audience were in that show. And it's been a whirlwind. It's been very rewarding and very just wonderful to be able to bring something back to the community.
And I think I'll just share a little bit. Ari mentioned that it was written by Barbara Robinson in the 70s. I don't know how many of you have heard of this story before, because it started as a short story, right? It was originally, she wrote it and it was included in McCall's magazine as just a short story. And it was so popular that she expanded it into a novel, and it just sold and sold and sold and sold. One interesting fact about the author, Barbara Robinson, is she grew up in Ohio. She's an Ohio native. She grew up in Portsmouth. So this is a local artist who wrote this show, and local artists producing it as well. But it's a cute story, and it's a fun story. And I think, it's 40 years old now, right? But I think it still resonates for a couple of reasons. One, I think everybody here probably has heard of or has seen like a Christmas pageant before, right? We're all familiar with the nativity play and that, the kids and the families getting up and the shepherds and everybody going on stage. And that's something we all know. We can kind of picture it in our minds. And what Barbara Robinson did with this story is she kind of turned it on its side. And she took these kids that everybody thought not much of. She thought that everybody thought they were just kind of trouble. She kind of introduced them into the play. And I think everybody had these expectations of each other, like what was going to happen. Like all the grown-ups thought, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a mess. They're going to steal the collection money. And I think the herdsman kids that are the bad kids, right? They had this expectation, like they wanted to get into this program, right? Because they heard there was food there. They wanted to get some food, right? That's something that they needed. So everybody had these expectations. They didn't know like what was going to happen, but But through this power of this Christmas story and I think doing a play, I think something very powerful happens. Like it kind of opens everybody's eyes up to see like see another side of people. The adults who see these kids in this new light, they're kind of seeing them and they're going like, oh, I didn't know they can do that. I'm sure a lot of you have like had that experience where you see somebody in a new light, like you see somebody, you go, oh, I didn't know they could do that, or oh, I didn't know that was something that they're into, or oh, that was really amazing that they did that. And I think that's a special moment. And I think in terms of the herdsmans, what I really like about their journey is they're coming and they're known as the bullies, right? They get a tip that there might be food at this church and they come and they want to get some food, right? Because they're probably a food insecure family. And they take part in this, they take over the show. But I think the gravity of being in the Christmas story and being on stage and being part of a team, I think that hits them too. So I think from both sides, both of these, these kids and all these families, I think they learn something about each other, and I think everybody's a little more accepting of each other by the end, and that's certainly a message I think that resonates kind of all the time. So I think it is a special story, and we're going to see a little bit of the story, and yes, we've brought some of our other team members here, so I'd like for them to introduce themselves. EJ is our costume designer. EJ, could you talk a little bit about what you did on the show and maybe a little bit about your background?
Okay, so my background, I did theater in high school, and I introduced my children into the theater, which is why I am part of the theater now. Both of my children are on the autism spectrum, and my son was nonverbal. And when we introduced him to theater when the Columbus Parks and Recreations did My Fair Lady back in, I believe it was 2018, maybe 2017, 16? Okay, 2016. My son came to a rehearsal and he watched one of the actors singing and dancing, and he fell in love with theater, and that's where he found his voice. We put him in theater camp that summer. We did with Columbus Parks and Recreations, and we did The Jungle Book later that year, and he really found his calling. And my daughter switched from dance to theater, and that's where we all started. And now I work for Columbus Parks and Recreations because of that. For this show, we did costumes. We chose to modernize the show because it was written in the 70s, and we chose to bring it into the 2020s. So the cast pretty much got to choose their costume, except for the nativity. So we encouraged specific pieces, and so the show is going to show more modern times and the individual style choices of our cast, which I think I really like that encouraged.
Thanks, EJ. EJ's a really important part of our team. We're glad they're here too. And so we have two of our lead actors on stage too. We have Alexa Cruiser, who plays Grace Bradley, the mom and the director of the pageant, who takes over kind of suddenly, and John Quigley, who is the father and kind of a little more reluctant, but also gets involved. And I'll let them. Can you guys talk a little bit about your role and your background?
Well, I am from Westerville. I grew up singing in the choir, and then that kind of transitioned to musical theater. I started that in high school, and then I went on to attend Xavier University, where I majored in musical theater and film and television. And then, I just fell in love with it. It's what I'm best at. It's definitely, it fulfills me. And I then went on to move to LA after I graduated from college. for the industry, and now I'm here, back home. It's great to be here. This is my first show actually back in Columbus, so it's been a great experience. The kids are all amazing. They've taught me a lot. They've really reminded me, not only in the show, but also in my personal life, the true meaning of Christmas. You know, it's really easy to get caught up in all the chaos of this time of the year, but they've brought me so much laughter and joy, and I thank you guys for that. So I can't wait for everyone to see it tonight.
I also did theater in high school, and I basically haven't stopped since. I've been doing theater in Columbus since about 2013. I went to Ohio State for theater, and I've been working for all the various theater companies around town, doing things from acting to writing, directing, making props, stage managing, and I'm very excited to be here doing the best Christmas pageant ever. I remembered reading the book when I was in school and really enjoying it, and so it's very fun to get to be in it now. Yes.
Yeah, and John, I think you bring up a good point. That you mentioned all these things that you've done before, and it really is it's a big effort putting on a show. This is just sort of the tip of the iceberg of the people who are involved in this production, because we've got about a dozen kiddos, we've got a half dozen adults, we've got our director, our costume designer, we have to design a set and paint a set, we have to design lights and run lights. So it really is a collaborative experience. You get so many people together, and I think it always makes it better because you've got all those people working towards one common goal. But we do have some other actors here. I wonder if maybe we could just pass the mic around and let everybody introduce themselves really quickly. And then we're gonna show a little. We just worked this out right before we started, but we worked out a little preview of the show tonight. So can we go around and maybe everybody can stand up and one by one and turn around and just say maybe your name, your real name, how old you are, and the character you're playing in the show. Do you want to come up first? You can stand right in front of us here. Put that right up to your mouth.
Hello, I'm Evan. I am playing Hobie Clark in the play, and I am 12 years old. Yeah. My name is Portia Severson. I'm 11 years old, and I'm playing Maxine. My name's Sam. I'm 14 years old, and I'm playing Ollie Herdman.
My name's Anna. I'm 13 years old, and I'm playing Doris.
Hi, my name's Amira, and I play Gladys Herdman.
Hi, my name is Nova Roth. I am 12 years old, and I'm playing Imogene Herman.
My name is Elena Wiles. I am playing Beth, and I am 13 years old.
My name is Layla Huffman. I'm 13 years old, and I'm playing Baby Angel Shirley.
I'm Andrew Zarnecki, and I'm 10 years old, and I'll be playing Charlie. Hi, my name is Evan, and I play Juanita, and I'm 9 years old.
Hi, my name is George. I'm 11 years old, and I play Claude Herdman.
Is that everybody?
No, we good.
And we have two more. How could you forget Leroy? Like, what?
Hello, my name is Owen Johnson. I'm 11 years old, and I play Leroy, and I love to bully Charlie. Let's just put it that way.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Jones. I'm 17 years old, and I play one of the firemen and Mrs. Armstrong's nurse.
Hi, I'm Mason Coleman. I am 12 years old and I play David.
That's good. Okay, yeah, thanks everybody. Yeah, a round of applause for all our actors. And by the way, while we're introducing people, if you are a grown-up of one of these young artists, can you just raise your hand? Can we give our grown-ups a round of applause? Yeah, we have some grown-ups here too. No, but they're really part of our team too. They haul everybody down to the theater 3 times a week for about 2 months to get ready for the show. So it's a big effort. So we appreciate all of you and all of the work that you do. Okay, Ellen asked us if we could do a little bit of the show. The first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna have Elena, who plays Beth. She's the narrator of the show, and she's their daughter in the show. She's gonna explain what everybody thinks about the Herdmans when the story starts. You want to give us that first? Yeah, like when you say they were the worst, and then there was, and then you can say all their names.
Yeah. The Herdmans were the worst kids in the whole history of the world. They lied and stole and smoked cigars, even the girls, and talked dirty and cursed their teachers and took the name of the Lord in vain and set fire to Fred Shoemaker's old broken-down tool house. There was 6 of them: Ralph, Imogene, Leroy, Claude, Ollie, and Gladys. And they went through the whole Woodrow Wilson School like those South American fish that strip your bones clean. They went around town the same way, stealing things and whamming kids. So it was hard to get away from them. There was only one safe place.
So thank you. That was great. I love that first line. It's just such a good, it just catches your attention because it just gives you that sense of like, oh man, these kids are the worst. And that's what everybody thinks at the beginning. And it's just fun to see that journey to where they are at the end of the show, where everybody thinks they are at the end. So, okay, I think what we had is we planned to do a little bit of like the pageant dress rehearsal. And so Alexa she's not at the beginning of the show, she's not the director of the show, but the director who's been doing it for like 30 years, she breaks her ankle or something, and she's holed up at the hospital at home. She can't do the show. And so Alexa's character, Grace, gets pulled into this. And so she has to not only figure out how to run the pageant, but she has to deal with the stress of having all these 6 kids who've never done it before, who've kind of like taken over. So in this scene, I guess, how would you describe this? What is happening
This
here?
is the point where Grace kind of just accepts that a lot of this is out of her control now. Not everything is going to be perfect, and this pageant is going to be a little different than last year's, but that's okay. She's learning that that's okay, and she's just trying to focus on the real meaning of Christmas. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of frustration and a lot of patience that takes place in this scene. Yeah, just dealing with all the chaos. But did we want to show them a little bit of it
now? You want to kind of jump up here how we set up, and we'll try to show you a piece of it. When you talk, I don't know if you practice this, but why don't you stand up when you have a line?
Mrs. Bradley, you can have my little brother for baby Jesus.
Oh, I didn't know you had a new baby brother, David.
Well, he's not new. He's 4 years old. But he's double jointed and he could probably scrunch up.
Well, I don't think that's gonna...
Baby.
And how can you do that?
There's always 2 or 3 babies in carriages outside the supermarket. I'll just get one of them.
Imogene, you can't just take somebody's baby. Just forget about the baby. We'll use a doll.
Yeah, that's better anyways. A doll can't bite you.
And Imogene, you know Mary didn't wear earrings.
I have to wear these. I got my ears pierced, and if I don't keep something in them, they'll go together.
Well, they won't grow together in an hour and a half. What did the doctor tell you to do?
What doctor?
Well, who pierced your ears?
Gladys.
Oh. Well, we'll just find something smaller. Now, is that your costume? Is that what you're going to wear?
Janice got my robe. My mother doesn't have any white sheets. Can our sheet with balloons on it?
Okay,
I haven't gone.
Can you stand up and say those things?
Oh,
Okay, keep going.
I haven't gone to costume. I was never a shepherd before.
You have to wear for his bathroom. That's what I have to do.
He hasn't got a bathroom.
What does he think around the house in?
His underwear.
All right, just pretend you're wearing costumes.
Are we going through the whole thing today?
Yes, of course. Oh, come on. First, we're just going to do the entrances, so all of you go to where you're supposed to be, and we'll start with the shepherds. I think we're going to end it there before it gets super crazy. But you'll have to come to the show to find out more.
While we have all the kiddos up here, I know this is a conversation, so is there anybody who has a question for any of our young actors or any of our grown actors or anything? Okay.
What makes you want to act and
Really cool, and that I wanted to be a part of that. And so it was just family, to be honest. It was just how much family I have who is in theater.
Okay. And any other questions? Okay. Oh,
What was it like for all the Herdmans to go from, say, good kids to the bad kids?
Again, I play Imogene Herdman. I guess I'll be speaking on behalf of all of the other Herdmans. Going between, like a mean character to really just a bit more calm, I guess. It's fun because you get to see how the character development, how everyone progresses and how they change throughout the story. And it's just a really fun process because it's like you change into a whole different person at the end. And it's really fun.
why don't you reintroduce yourself? Go ahead.
I play Ollie Herdman. And also, it's kind of funny in the beginning, like when you're first doing all the mean stuff, because it's like really weird and everyone's just like kind of laughing like, that was so rude, why would I say that? And it's just kind of hilarious.
Okay, I don't think that any of the other Herdmans would like to speak.
Thank you. Any other questions for our, okay.
So do any of you guys do theater in school? Do you find yourself being picked on by other students by chance? Because I know when I was in school many moons ago, it was like the theater kids were picked on by, the other kids in school, the sports people and stuff like that. So you don't find that at all. That's great. I'm glad.
No,
Good for
we're
you.
too cool for that.
Too cool for school.
For all of the newbies, this is their first time on stage, if not their second time on stage, how was this experience?
Anybody?
This is my first time, and I feel like this has been a lot of fun for me, but I feel like my character that I started with is probably a good character, because I do not, Andy started here, and he starts with 60-some lines. I only have 7, and I kind of am glad I only have a couple.
That's a good question. Does anybody, a question that often comes up, especially for young actors, is like, how do you memorize the lines? Like, how do you keep track of all of that stuff? Does anybody want to talk about how they did that? Do you want to? Yeah, then you can go next.
Well, for me, it was just like practice a lot, and sometimes at home I'll practice with my mom or dad to just like help memorize all the lines, or sometimes it helps with other characters, like giving me cues, or if I forget a line, they help me like remember it a lot.
Do you want to pass that to Alexa?
So writing them down has always helped me a lot. I'll usually make physical note cards, and then, like Portia said, I will practice with family or friends, and then also just being in rehearsal, being in the room, whether I'm word perfect or not, early on in the process, just getting the book out of my hands and just familiarizing myself with the world of the play. That really helps too. And then the words come.
For me, one of the reasons that I am able to memorize the majority of my lines is because I find
theater is so fun and enjoyable that it all just comes back to me when I'm on the stage or when I'm with my peers for the program. So it's just the fact that I find theater so fun and I get to do this and I get to have this opportunity is what really makes it easy to do this.
I would say that what I do is like it's a process of reading it and then putting it down and having like the comfort to actually say it. And if you mess up, it's not that big of a deal because you're memorizing. You're still in the process. And also, like Alexa said, it's the rehearsals that also like keep me going. And so I just think those two together, it just comes to me really quickly.
Something that really helps me with remembering my lines is mainly focusing on learning cue lines. Because if you don't know your cue line, knowing your line doesn't make any sense because you don't know when to say it. And so I'll have like someone read me the cue line for my next line. And typically I'll do it out of order so that I can really familiarize myself with the lines, no matter like where they are. And so, yeah, cue lines are very important.
Okay, one more. Let's see, one more. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a perfect question for me because I actually came like 3 weeks late to rehearsal because I was doing a musical. So I only have like 20 lines, which is still really good. But what helps for me is that I go to school with like 4 of the kids who are in this, like 2 of them being main characters. So what I'll just do is I'll just drop some random lines with them, and then hopefully they get what I'm saying and then repeat it back to me. And then also, like everyone else said, it's just the rehearsals that like really help with like remembering everything.
There's a couple of phrases they talk about in the play, right? Like, what do they say about there's no small... Yeah, there's no small parts, only small actors. And what does that mean? Who says... What does it mean? What is your answer to what that means?
It means that the short kids have to be in the front row of the angel choir or else nobody can see them.
I love that. So yeah, that's one of those phrases you hear a lot because people, when I hear people like, counting lines, like, how many lines did you get? How many lines did you get? And they say, there's no small parts, there's only small actors. And that's Maxine's thought about like what that line means. There's another phrase that we hear during the show, like what do they say instead of good luck in the theater? They say
break a leg.
Yes, they say break a leg, which when you're telling that to the Herdmans, that kind of doesn't go the way that we hope. So, all right, I think we still have a little bit of time left, and we thought we would share kind of the end of the nativity play that they do. Everybody sings a rendition of Silent Night, and so we thought it would get us all in the Christmas spirit. And how about all of you? Would you like to sing with us? Does that sound all right? I think, Ari, are you, do you have that music queued up? Can everybody come into the center of this space here? Just be where you are. Yeah, just clump together. And then I think Ari's going to try to play the music into the microphone. We're going to see if that works.
You ready?
And just follow them, everybody, if you want to join us. What's not to love about that, huh? Let's give them a round of applause. So thank you, kiddos. That you're doing such a great job. Why don't you have a seat? And thank you for jumping up here. Thanks, Alexa, for leading everybody. So just to explain really quickly, if you want to see the whole show, we open our production tonight. The shows start at 7:30 tonight. Tickets are $5. It's at the Columbus Performing Arts Center. It's on Franklin Avenue in the Van Fleet Theater. You can buy tickets at the door. You can even buy them online. And as a special surprise, tonight, if you join us tonight, we're going to have a special hot chocolate reception after the show. So everybody who comes can enjoy a little hot chocolate and some whipped cream and some treats to celebrate with our cast and crew. You can meet some of these amazing actors. So I think that's all we had planned, but I don't know, any other questions before we have Ellen wrap things up? Is that a good place to wrap up, Ellen, or?
Wrap it up like a Christmas present. Wasn't that beautiful? Thank you, Jeff Martin, and all of you. You brought such a great spirit to us.